everyone. Welcome and a very happy Monday to you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today's soap is going to be one of those that develops on its own and changes a bit based on color mistakes that I made. But what I like about this, and I've said this before in soaping, is that we can get surprises, and sometimes those surprises can be positives. They can be things that take an otherwise mundane, perhaps, task and turn it into something exciting and interesting. Now, while I would never call soaping mundane, I can tell you that the idea that I originally had for this was just a mild chamomile and frankincense soap, then with some essential oils added in, just to make a very luxurious special soap to me. And I then decided, well, let's add some colors. Which I've done hundreds and thousands of times before. But I had other things on my mind, and I miscalculated and made too much of two dark accent colors. And thus, when I put them together, it created a rather dark soap, and we actually lost most of the base color. So it was something that I wasn't expecting, but something that I will love anyway. And I think in many ways, this is what soaping is all about. And this is perhaps especially true for new soapers out there. I've been discovering a lot of new soaper channels recently. I just go out and I go searching, and I have found a lot of them, and many of them have also joined this channel. Some not, and that's fine too. But here's what I can say: is that I see a lot of people being very difficult and hard on themselves because their first few soaps aren't what they'd hoped for. Well, I want to tell you that even we who have been soaping, I've been soaping since I was a tiny boy, and I'm 60, right? And here I am, after 6 decades, still making mistakes. And if there's no other lesson I learned from my father, and from my mother too, and that is to make a new mistake every day. That doesn't mean that you should purposely try to make mistakes, but it means you should learn from your old mistakes and make a whole new one, right? And there's always opportunity for mistakes. But if you look at those mistakes as a new creation, you'll find that this process is so much more enjoyable. So it's different than what you planned. So you wanted pink and you got puce. So you wanted lime and you got chartreuse. Things happen, both in the chemistry of making soap, but also just in chance. And sometimes a soap will just do what a soap does. And I love that. Now, can you make the same soap every time and get exactly the same result? You certainly can. And that is especially important if you have some base products that you're selling to your customers. Your oatmeal honey soap should always be the same. Your charcoal soap should be the same. Yeah, I know you may have mild variations in them due to a new supplier, those sort of things. But as a rule, you want to keep your chemistry the same on your soaps, just so that your customers are getting a consistent product. But here on YouTube, a lot of what I make, I can't speak for others. I do this out of joy, and I don't really have a set customer base. Now, I do have some products that I keep fairly pure, like my goat milk soap, my goat milk and honey. Now, I have recently updated that with Manuka honey, but it is still my goat milk, oatmeal, and honey soap. And the same is true of my avocado soap. I may get a better gel that I add to it if I'm adding aloe vera, if I'm doing, and the same can be said of any product that you make. For instance, some people may use a bottled aloe juice. Some of us may clean our own aloe vera leaves for the gel within. We're all going to do these things differently and get variations, but try to keep consistency. But again, with what I'm doing here, this product, oh, and I did add some oatmeal to this, which you can see there, very little. But what I'm trying to say is don't be disappointed by your change, by those things that are somewhat different. When I was younger, I made a mistake. I went to the wrong address to a party and ended up at another party. This is absolutely true. And a party that I kind of crashed and didn't even mean to. But while I was there, I met the person that I would love and spend the next 20 years with. This was a mistake. A mistake happened, and yet something that I could have never dreamt would happen happened. So, is this the same as making a bad soap? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is mistakes will happen, and sometimes really good things can come from that. So you have to realize that yes, things there are going to be differences in them, but just the same, you learn to love them. If you really dislike a soap, you make something and you're just terribly unhappy with it, give it away. You know, that is something our friend Renee, our friend Eric, they make soap only to give away. They don't even sell soap. I'm talking about Renee from Soaps for Love and Eric the Soap Man. Both of these folks make soap just to give away. And if they can do it, we all can do it. And I understand that some of us are doing this because we have to make an income. We can't just give our soaps away. We couldn't afford to buy the products and make our soaps and just give them away. I get that. And that's where I am too. I can't give everything away. I try to give away as much as I can, but I also have to sell some. I have to make some money back in order to buy more product, especially now while I'm on unemployment till September. So I get that. But the most important thing I want you to know is that, and this goes for people that don't soap too, for other things that you do, mistakes are going to happen. We're going to take missteps in life, but you can use those to learn from. I've learned from this one. As I said, I made way too much of the charcoal and way too much of the sandalwood, and so they just took over everything else, you know. But this is a learning experience. It's because my mind was somewhere else. You can't let your mind be somewhere else when you're doing something like this, if you want a consistent output. And the same is true in life. Many of the mistakes and missteps that we take in life are because we weren't paying attention. It's true. Whether it be in love, whether it be in our careers, and it's easy. Believe me, I can tell you this. It's easy to get into a career when you're not paying attention, meaning that you're not constantly updating your resume. You're not constantly training for something else, reaching for another goal. It's easy to get stuck in something, and suddenly 10 years have gone by. And the same is true in relationships. I've known people who've been in bad relationships for 25 years, and they'll say, "I just couldn't get the energy up to do it. There's nobody else out there." It's like, okay, that may be true, but I doubt that's true. But sometimes it's just like we're just, but life doesn't wait for us. It keeps going. And I remember when I was young, I always wanted to go to the gym, but I thought I'll go later. And suddenly 40 years had passed. So just something for you to think about. Okay, so anyway, I thank you all. I have received some of the most fantastic feedback, and I'm not someone who craves positive feedback, but maybe I am on some level. I'm not going to lie to you. I was raised, as you all know, if you've watched some of my other videos, in a very abusive, non-supportive home. And it was very odd for me when I started doing this and got positive feedback. I didn't know how to accept it. It's like, okay, fine, thank you, go away. I'm serious, that's how I felt. But then I realized people weren't just saying things, people were being sincere to themselves. But if they compliment you, if they say something nice to you, it's because they really do mean it. And the same is true. There was a soaper that I commented on recently, and they immediately responded with, yeah, but it was ugly, or yeah, it was this, or yeah, it was that. We all need to learn how to accept praise because we're worthy of it. It doesn't mean that we're necessarily always going to do the right thing or always have the beautiful thing. And sometimes just people do flatter us when we don't have it coming. But that's okay too. Sometimes people are just being kind. And kindness is something we're in short supply of these days. So accept it where you can get it. I'm learning to do that myself. So I just want to thank you all so very much for all that you give every day. You are tremendous, and I have a real affection for you all. So I hope you have a beautiful day. I look forward to seeing you all back soon. There are some photos here at the end, and the photos too are they're not perfect, a little too much light on them. So I need to work on those too. But I hope you have a tremendous day. It's been a lot of fun, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Goodbye.